My poetry's never failed, never failed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first official week of Dropzone. This is going to be our first-person duos tournament. Last week, you may have joined us to see the qualifiers, but this week, these players are now full in competition, ready to go, competing for the nice prizes that are going to be provided to us by ViewSonic and Cooler Master, both of them being gracious enough to give us those. But before we get too far into it, I will introduce myself and my co-commentator. I am Goremizer, and joining me tonight is not going to be Heyday. Right now, it is going to be none other than the Jabroni Bow.
Yes, Gore, it is a little bit of a change up, our first experience together. And right away, we do have the plane coming in from the north.
Yeah, this is actually one of the nice things. I like the centralized drops. Every time they come in, the first one is always really comfortable because you get to see a little bit of what the players prefer. You know, you can see like Katie Cake's up in the top, player we've seen a few weeks in the leagues we've run here. She's going over towards Zarky. They're kind of jumping early, trying to stretch to wherever they can go. A couple people might be going towards the northwest, but I'm waiting to see the holdout School, Pochinki, Rozhawk, and of course, military base.
Yeah, the north to south flight path completely opens up literally the entire map. It's very nice to see Katie Cakes. We actually see a team going to Zarky, which I always love. We saw Elevate jump very early as well. And a lot of teams jumping right over that Rozhawk School area that you were talking about and seem to be going east towards Yaz, towards Prison, towards the Milta area. So should be a nice spread of players on this map.
And I also think that the one thing that's great about North-South, instead of getting one that's, you know, more diagonal or even one that's East-West, you get to see this player spread out a little bit further. As we get to see people maybe stretch past Prison, maybe going all the way to Lipovka. Just kind of depending on where the circle ends up, they're going to make that decision, or if they can find a vehicle. But as it stands right now, the players are starting to land, starting to loot up, and hoping that they are going to be lucky enough to find a gun before their opponents do. And as we can see, like right here, you have a team of two looking to be running away, trying to play it safe, because at this point, positioning still is going to matter 4 points, but you do get some extra if you get kills.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first place victory actually grants these duos 100 points. And during the actual gameplay, they get 1 point per kill. And if you achieve 10 kills, get an extra 5 points on top of that. As we see Allode going for those early points right away, even with a pistol.
As long as you can hit the shots, that's all you need. He was able to find one, but it wasn't really a headshot. That's, of course, what you always hope for. You want to be able to find it. It's all he could see, but unfortunately for him, not going to be it. I see immediately in the bottom left, someone was just run over with a vehicle, and we have a nice centralized circle here.
Yeah, BenQ5 actually a really, really high caliber player. Very unfortunate to see him eliminated so early, but that's what happens when you take the long flies and you're looking for those vehicles, as a lot of teams do. They like to get those vehicles early and move around the map as fast as possible. But if you're not the first one to the vehicle, a lot of times you end up under it.
Unfortunately for him, I remember seeing him always wanting to fight, always wanting to go up, and he did play his high during the qualifiers, but he was not one that was going to go through, as Connor Pro looking to potentially find a kill here with his teammate Geo, potentially running around. Didn't die, though. Very low health around the hill. But it looks like he should be able to get himself safe, at least hidden over here. But it looks like Connor Pro is not going to be giving up that chase anytime soon.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate when you end up next to another duo. And because it is duos, instead of those squad games where there are, 24, 25 teams, we do have nearly 50 teams in this game right now. So it's very hard to find a really safe location to loot. And it kind of gets that early fighting going a little bit. As we see the C and Allode right now, one building away from two opponents.
And this is kind of similar to what you expect to see when you're doing like a solos tournament. You come in, the players are going to be all over the place, but the glory, I guess there's like an upside and a downside. The glory is that you're just going to get downed if you get spotted first. But unfortunately, a lot of these players are going to be a little bit more ruthless. They're not going to use you as bait. They will probably put you down like you are, I guess, a racing horse that's not able to race anymore. At this point, they do not really care about keeping you alive as long as you can. They're not going to use you as bait. They're going to go for those extra points.
Yeah, absolutely. MLGB right now, another very high caliber team heading into these bunkers. And we do see Zaven RL and Base down below. So this could be an interesting matchup here. Both teams looking to be fairly geared. We see a Car 98 and an M16 here on Zaven. So they're in pretty good shape. And this could be a nice fight if they don't just happen to come out the other side and walk away while MLGB goes in there.
That is probably the best timing I have ever seen a team have. They run in. You see MLGB come in, pistols in hand. They are not ready to fight. They are not looking. And right at the same time, you get to see them leaving. So I guess kind of fortunate for them, of course, being high caliber. I was kind of anxious to see what could they pull out, even with just pistols, because you can still win that fight. It's not going to be the best thing, not going to be the easiest thing for you, but you land those shots fine, and you should be able to get it, as now we see Minimint 11 down here in the military base. We did have two teams go here, which a lot of teams tend to avoid this, especially in competition, just because it's known for being the drop zone, but a lot of players have kind of avoided it. And so we typically get this, where we have 4 players in the military base, one of the best places to loot.
Yeah, Mini and Arcticus here actually definitely noticed this other duo over at the warehouse. But the movement, the timing, both of these players with 8x scopes, look at where Halfway Hero and Mixmackle actually are. They moved up and were unseen, so they're much closer to Arcticus than he thought. But we see right now Arcticus sitting here with the SKS with the 8x scope, or I'm sorry, the Scar with the 8x scope. And then we also had Mini with the Mini 14 and an 8x scope on that. So they're set up and ready to go and looking for these two players.
And you can tell, like you said, they spotted them out. They're rushing them down, trying to find out exactly where they are. But it seems like they're realizing that, one, they're getting far apart, and two, they're not over there anymore. So they're probably going to go on a manhunt here relatively shortly, trying to find them down. But the glory about military bases, you get those weapons. The downside is everyone else is going to have some of those weapons as well. So like you said, they do have a Mi 14. We did have a Scar L, and they have some good scopes on those. But they're going to end up running into pretty much the same build.
Yeah, elsewhere we see Xiphon getting 2 kills, a nice little squad wipe for him. But look at this zone. Dead center of the northern island. So much to work with right now for these teams. Absolutely, just so much open space, so many compounds, so much loot potential. The only teams that really have issues right now are those teams in military, as they're going to have to get across those bridges.
And with the way the circle's positioned, a lot of players, normally you expect, you hear the bridge, the first thing you think, people are going to be camping it. You're going to be in a danger zone just trying to cross it. But because of the way the circle's positioned, there might not be as many people kind of hanging around there. They're not going to be focusing more on that as we see some other fights. And a lot of players around here, and Yasnaya Poliana. The C was one that we got to see a lot of in the qualifiers last week. We kept kind of peeking over towards him, finding a level 3 helmet, which is glorious for him, and his nice banana outfit. And it's just looking like he's trying to kind of keep control. I like the peeks over the walls, making sure he can get it. And this is the glory of the first person. A lot of tournaments have switched to this lately, but the vision restriction really kind of opens up to a lot of the moments that we've already seen, even though we've only been going for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the first-person duo experience is much different than a lot of the other game types, especially squad, especially the third person. A lot of early combat, and you don't have those third-person sightlines. You have to peek to see where players are. You have to peek to try and gain that information. So we will see a lot of players doing that. And of course, there's always a chance when you're peeking, that quick shot to the head can put you down fairly quickly if someone else spots you out.
And that's going to be the glory for these level 3 helmets some of the players have found so far, as now we're having more teams just join the city and find each other. Finally, we're going to be seeing Patrick over here looking for potentially a fight, but I saw some shots coming through, and as they continue to aggress and kind of loot through the city, they have a lot of potential to collide and crash. A lot of these players have been within 2, maybe 3 buildings max of each other this entire time and haven't found them just yet.
Yeah, and that's what's so great. I mean, the spread out that we have from these players, that amazing flight path that we had, perfect right down the middle, the amazing centered zone. This is the ideal game for a lot of these players. And to have that ability to loot, that time to loot, and then this opportunity to move safely into the zone or try and get there, we're going to have a ton of teams opting for different locations here. And it's going to create some very interesting matchups.
As we see, again, more players kind of joining the fray over here, and Yasnaya Poliana. And I'm waiting. Eventually, there's going to be a clash, and one team is going to come out of it, potentially with only one person remaining, just because the shots are going to be so audible through there. And a lot of these players still want the aggression, even though they're trying to play for the placement. They're going to hear the shots. They're going to run over because they're going to think, hey, man, we can clean up the fight. We can come in, kill those people who are healing, catch them off guard, try to find them through the building, depending on how close they are when they start. As we can see, a lot of these players, like we've mentioned a couple times, are safe inside the zone. It is now closing. So some of the ones like up in Zarki, the military base, they do need to start making their way kind of towards the circle, try to go in. And we might see some players who decide to try and hold their way on the edge of the circle and keep track of other players. But we're going to see shots coming down. Batman going to be the first one trying to find the right angle, but just not feeling safe enough yet.
Yeah, I was very surprised there. Batman's teammate actually or Bombman's teammate, it's Bombman, actually creeping out past the wall in a very dangerous spot, but Gorik didn't take any shots. And Gorik and Pasha now retreating as they did go over that hill. 2 players sitting right in the sunken city. So they'll back off, an SKS and a Mini 14. So they're in great shape right now, but back off, heal up, and take this fight when you have the advantage. I love that retreat by them.
And Gorik and Pasha were actually in probably one of my favorite places to be in terms of getting into a fight, just because you do have the land to protect you. You have a lot of hills nearby. If you need to retreat, it's probably the safest place to get down. You might not be able to leave the field, but you're at least going to be able to kind of go back, heal up, and with the angle they were at, they were able to kind of run towards ruins, which it looks like they may be getting followed.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a chase here. Dace Live and It's Bombman actually pushing forward and being the aggressors looking for this fight, are now taking a lot of shots and trying to get that angle. But it appears as though the runaway might pay off as they are now in the ruins. Very hard to find players in here. A lot of different opportunities for cover. And first person running through the ruins, a very scary experience for any player.
You get your nice horror game experience built right into the rest of the match as they try to look down there. Of course, the optics we saw, there was a 4x at least onto Batman there. So he should be able to find some shots if he really wants to. He might be able to kind of hunker down, go for that sniping play. As it looks like Daniel over here is now teammateless with his dead body just nearby, and he seems to have been taking some shots, trying to tick up the healing that he can, but he only has a shotgun and a stun grenade, no vest to his name. And if anyone happens to find those shots, which we see a couple players kind of laying in wait, he does not look like he is long to last for this world.
Yeah, Daniel in a very, very bad situation right now, as he really doesn't even have any cover nearby. He's running through an open field. But we're back to Goric here, moving through or around the ruins, and we do have Arcticus right over by the church area. So we might have a little bit of a 1v2 clash right here, as Arcticus is very close to these two teams. It looks like they're heading right for the church right now. They're going to come right in the front door.
Looks like he's heard some footsteps now. Not quite sure where the other players are. May have spotted them, may have not, but he is going to be holding down the main building. A lot of windows to peek through, though. They're going to be able to come in, see some shots coming out immediately. And it's looking like Arctic is going to be able to get with a one knockout, but it's not going to be enough to save his life. The shotgun, the SK-12, going to be just a little bit too strong for him, and he's going to be taken down. That's going to be some nice loot.
Yeah, Arcticus, you know, it was a bold fight, very honorable. You did get the one down there, but that shotgun putting him away. Unfortunate game one for him. And we see Kaj here actually taking some shots at some passersby as he, I believe his teammate's Kramer. Another high caliber team. Kaj and Kramer are part of KFC, if I'm not mistaken.
They're going to be taking a little bit of damage. This is actually something that we've seen a few times, and I think we've seen across many tournaments. Some players like to just kind of hang out in the blue during the first circle. It's not doing enough damage that they're really worried about it. They have enough heals, usually if they found at least one painkiller, that they can kind of sit out there and be like, yeah, we're going to be fine for a little bit. We can kind of hang out, continue looting, try and get the best gear we can before we're forced to fight. Because that circle, a lot of players push up immediately, so you know you're going to be just a little bit safer.
Yeah, and here's Sideline right basically out in the open. He has one tree to his name and a little bit of defilade, but Axu actually backing off the fight. We had a nice 2v2 setup there. Smokes came out. Nobody wants to run into a smoke, especially in first person. A lot of very dangerous play. But look at this new zone we have again. Once again, right in the middle. So much area to play.
A lot of the players who might have gone towards school, we see a couple there. Rozhawk, Pochinki, all of these places normally kind of center of the map. They're the reason they get chosen, because you can kind of find the circle wherever they go. But being able to last through here is just kind of being the safe place for everyone. A lot of these players may or may not know what to do with their lives right now. I know personally, whenever you are in the zone and it starts to close down, you're still standing in it. Your question is, you know, do I stay where I'm safe or do I continue the loot? And since they are competing for some prizes, they're trying to get the nice seeds, trying to stay up towards the top. They have to make that rough decision. Do we want to continue looting? I guess it really depends on what they have in them.
Now, Zaven, this is actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is our military team. Made it all the way up to Yasnaya, but is now in a very bad way. Prone with the Car 98, taking a lot of shots from Deserted and Squadmate from up on this apartment. Now, this is a very dangerous situation. We see Zaven's teammate has actually been taken out, so he is all by his lonesome here, trying to make it into a safe spot. And look at this. He's got Idan right behind him, not his teammate, creeping up. This is very, very close.
He does have a sniper right there, and we see Idan running right towards him. He might see the UAZ, though, so he's going to be a little bit wary about it, and we're going to see the shots come down. He might be able to find the headshot. At this point, you could try to find the kill, or you could look to blow up the car, whichever one you're going to feel safer with, but he's going to be using that red dot headshot coming down. They're going to be able to pick that up, like you had mentioned. Zaven, no teammate, insta-down, but we already know there's some players looking at this spot.
Yeah, hey, if you walk into a field and you find yourself a UAZ and a quick kill and that extra loot, I am thrilled. So right now, Deserted with the Mini 14 and Pat with the AK up top will be holding that down. So we'll see if that UAZ can escape. Elsewhere, we do have Dace live right now, pushing up Odin Thor right from another very high caliber player right on this rooftop. He's trying to creep around and see if he can get some quick shots.
And it looks like his teammate may or may not be running a little bit of distraction for him, as we see Odin Thor kind of looking the other direction. Frags being thrown out. Shots going to be taken down. We have two players at half health, one on each team, as Dace just looking for it. He's holding the angle right where the head might pop up, and he's just hoping that one of them makes the mistake of peeking.
Yep, and VZ has now spotted him out, trying to get the ADS with the Car 98 to spot him out. And he does, and he takes a nice shot, a beautiful headshot. coming out of VZ right onto Dayslab. And then he follows it up by putting down its Batman with another Car 98 headshot. Crazy shots coming out from VZ there. Some 2 quick headshots and 2 quick kills.
Now, these players we saw in the qualifiers, we've seen them around the scene as well. They're deadly. They are a deadly combo to be running into. And unfortunately, when you are the ones getting shot at by them, you might not be coming out of this, as Arctic is actually going to be taking some shots towards Odin Thor. Does not see VZ, though, on the right-hand side. And we already know VZ can put people down with that sniper. So it's up to Arcticus to try and find the hits he needs to as quick as possible to try and get that line of sight. But unfortunately for him, it's just not going to go his way.
I just made a realization that there are multiple players on multiple teams in this game with Arcticus in front of their name. And I just realized that. So this is a different Arcticus that was actually taking those Car 98 shots. Not the same as the one that was in the church that actually took that 1v2 and did not come across. But we see Prodigy on the motorcycle. Very dangerous vehicle to ride around. And Salenza taking some shots into a warehouse over here as they get into a little 2v2 skirmish.
And the healing coming down. This is the same area we actually got a glance of earlier, just a little bit south from the Sunken City. The hills, again, paying their way in gold just because of the fact that they can hide you so well from pretty much all sides as long as you find the right spot. And it looks like Jorksky and his teammate are going to kind of keep themselves aware of that. Although we hear the bullets coming down, we know some teams know they're around. The same thing goes for a few of these other players as we see Alien CS and Harbinger looking to get aggressed on immediately, and they're going to go down. Harbinger actually gets taken out after knocking out Thug Waffle. I think Alien CS was, yeah, he was the one. So Harbinger was the one who was aggressing in there. Did find the knockout, but unfortunately falls, not able to get the 1v2 again.
Yeah, the dangerous 1v2 push, you have to find a safe place to go when you are alone. And when you push in a building with 2 other players, you really don't have a choice. You can't try and run away. So I like the attempted push. He does get the one down, but cannot pull it off. And now we see Pat from before, the player that we saw up in the apartments in Yas 9, now pinned down by Connor Poe up on this hill. He's trying to use the tree as cover, but this is a very bad position to be in. He's trying to move around, trying to get around this. He just made it into the zone, so they were eating a lot of damage. His teammate actually still at the compound just outside of being safe.
It looks like Deserted, after the shots coming down onto Patrick there, playing it safe, not going to go too aggressive. But unfortunately for Patrick, he's now taking shots from 2 sides, one up the hill, one from behind. So you hear some sniper shots coming through, and they're going to be able to find the knockout right there. Legendary going to be able to find those, and it's going to be up to Deserted to try and save his teammate here. But at this point, when you know there's at least one player with a Car 98, and as we can see, there's 2 players with Car 98s looking in your direction, trying to keep track of you. You don't want to get too aggressive, but Deserted going to start firing those shots. He does have the Mini 14, but he's still not in the zone.
Yeah, a very dangerous, risky play by Deserted there. You have to make a decision in that situation where you know there's the 1v2. You can take the shots, or you can abandon your teammate, or you can rush for the pickup. There are a few different options there. He goes for the 1v2, seeing if he can maybe down one of these players to get the opportunity to go pick up his teammate, but he does unfortunately meet his end by a quick Car 98 shot to the side. So he does go down, and we see Wei Ponpon here holding down this compound, trying to move in. And another friendly zone right by School. So School's still safe in this game.
Now, a lot of those players who might have dropped there, again, that's another one of those hot zones. A lot of players don't like to go there, especially like when it's competitive. But they're going to be feeling safe. They have the loot that they wanted. They have the spots that they need. They're going to be safe because if they hear anyone come in, they're going to have the advantage. As we can see Mayo here still holding down this warehouse, looking to try and find some cheeky headshots with the tilt, but not going to be able to find exactly what he needs to. A lot of players about to collide in this area. We see a nice Dulcia coming through. Maybe Habababa can find some kills as he runs in between. We see LTP Lush Mayo on the left. We see Jorksy and his teammate. And on the right-hand side, there's even more players coming in, so the shots are coming out now.
Yeah, a very popular area. We do have Rocket Esports, LTP Lush, and MJO holding down that warehouse, taking some shots out as the vehicles come by. They're trying to hold players off of this compound. This is a big spread out compound, a lot of buildings that can be utilized. But we see a lot in Battlegrounds, in the competitive scene, that if too many players are set up in buildings right next to each other, when the zone finally comes and pushes them out, a lot of times, almost all of them don't make it safe. So it's very important to keep people out of where you are, keep them out of the warehouse, keep them out of the buildings nearby.
And now, as we can see, Miniman, one of the players we were kind of keeping track of earlier, him and Cageman, in the area looking around, but Shulk going to be coming through just on the side of this building. This is one of those rare moments. You're the solo player, you're sitting there, you have a shotgun out, and you just know. You're waiting patiently, you recognize someone's going to come up. I don't have a teammate right now. There's too many players, this zone is too safe and on the edge of the circle to be safe. And lucky for him, there is no window in that hallway, or else his head would be peeking just the right amount.
Yeah, Solace playing exactly how the solo player should in this situation. Find yourself a building, get that pumpy out and hold it down. But look at this building right here. It appears we have 4 players from 2 different squads right here on the right, with Dalicat on the south side of this compound. MJO and LTB Lush taking some more shots. But we have Fire Official Young Modern right here in a 2-on-2 situation, all holding down the same building.
Yeah, looking like
a situation.
At this point, I mean, they've heard each other. Like, there's no way they've managed to get into the same building without the footsteps being audible. And just on the other side of town there, I'm going to call that the Valley of Death, just because you keep driving between 2 teams, as it looks like Dalicat going to be knocked down and taken out. Young Modern, half health, did manage to make it away from the building, but unfortunately for him, he is losing meds and a teammate in the process.
Yeah, very dangerous, but we do have Fire Official holding down. And look at these shots. Quick shots coming out. What a defend right there, as Twite taking some amazing scar shots to keep himself alive.
Now Furio's going to be up there joining his teammate, I believe, as they just kind of run through, come forward. But Habababa over here going to be knocked down. Again, another case, 4 players all in one building. The knockout going to be good, but Weedy going to get taken down, and Habababa going to go with him into the ground. And we've been weeding them out. We started with over 90, and we are now in the 53, almost breaking our top 50.
Yeah, and what we saw right there during that push, that 2v2, it's very important if you down one player up the stairs and you're pushing to stay together. That way, if one player does go down, like in that situation, you can quickly trade that down out and keep 2 players alive. So I love that push by them. Very well done in a 2v2 situation. And Odin Thor right now, these are not 2 players you want to be anywhere near, and they are just taking shots everywhere they see anyone.
One of the things we had kind of mentioned earlier when we were talking about the military base was the fact that people tend to cross the bridge, and crossing the bridge is seen as relatively dangerous. A lot of people like to kind of hold that angle, get your headshots if you're coming across in a vehicle, take you down if you're just running across. This is another bridge where you can kind of have that same opportunity. We see Odin Thor and VZ kind of taking advantage of that. They recognize players are coming down from the northwest, and they're going to have to make it into this circle somehow, and they have the perfect building to kind of hold on to that angle and catch anyone off guard who comes through, as the C and Allowed going to take some shots, not finding the kill, but again, just causing some fear and striking fear in everyone who has driven past this one small set of buildings.
Yeah, this is a terrible area to drive through. You have LTB Lush and MJO just sitting here waiting. Tons of squads just sitting here taking shots at every passing vehicle. But this new zone, Razhak completely safe. School completely safe. So we should have a lot of building-to-building play until these final zones tip.
This is going to be one of the more interesting areas as well as it comes through, just because sometimes when you get it, especially if we get to see one land maybe in Razhak, it's going to be a little bit more close quarters than you would get normally if you cross this open field, which a lot of players are going to be forced to do just because of the way the circle has been going. And now we can see some of them trying to get into the circle as best they can. But with the way that the things are positioned, we can get stuff like this, where MLGB are kind of waiting around in the pool building. They recognize some others in the main school, and they're going to heal up and potentially go for that aggression, try to get some kills. And this is going to be the big point. A lot of players now breaking into the circle, but the ones that have been safe this entire time are going to be able to kind of hold that edge and pick off anyone who's coming through. And now we see Zom in a box and Katie Cakes kind of doing the same, holding the very edge of Razhak.
Yeah, absolutely. They unfortunately will have to move, but they need to take out this 2v2 fight first, because what happens is when this zone moves in 10 seconds, they're going to be running side by side, and that's a very dangerous situation for any squad. That's why it's so important and so vital to try and get a safe position where you can move into the zone as soon as possible, so you don't have to have that wall behind you.
Now, as we see it, a lot of the players, again, still trying to make their way. The circle is closing, though, so the ones on the bottom side are going to be in the unfortunate position of having to take some tick damage unless they are driving very fast. At this point, driving fast, especially on some of the vehicles that are faster and through the woods that they are stuck in, they are going to be in a precarious situation to try and find themselves safe here. But as we can see, not that many players inside the circle just yet, still kind of holding that edge, trying to move in at the last possible second so they aren't the ones getting shot in the back.
Yeah, here we see Shulk right now taking that M249 out and using it to the best of his ability as he tries to move into the safe zone. Pander gets into this garage, but he will have to move further into the safe zone as he takes the shots from Shulk. Great M249 plays out of Shulk, so he should have a nice clear walk right into the zone as he is more or less alone. A lot of players at school, more heading to school. A lot of players taking a lot of damage and going down outside the blue zone.
And unfortunately for Shulk, we actually saw another example of that, which was his teammate got down and just one too many shots. The blue zone going to be taking a lot of these, as they're going to just, a lot of these players getting knocked down, taken out, while they are just kind of slowly but surely ticking over. Some are going to be able to heal, some going to be able to make it in. PJV going to be one of those players, although shots coming down almost immediately from outside the safe zone. That's actually going to be legendary with the Car 98. He's going to be able to find a kill there. May or may not have healing to be able to find himself right back into the safe zone and continue his blood rampage. But as it stands right now, I see Geo123 going to be able to pick up a couple kills himself, as Blasty on a motorcycle just brave enough to be able to drive straight into Rozhawk like that.
What a legend. And that's why it's so vital to have vehicles, because think of trying to run that route that Blastic just took. It would have been nearly impossible. Tons of players on the way, tons of shots coming out, but having those vehicles, being able to move quickly with a little bit of cover is so vital for these players to move zone to zone. That is the most dangerous phase of this game, the movement. And trying to get from point A to point B with a vehicle makes it so much easier.
Now we're going to see the last circle. Rozhawk still mostly safe. A couple of the buildings are going to be cut out right here, and a couple of teams already kind of holding up. Shotguns are going to start reigning supreme. Normally, in a game like this, you want to go for the Car 98. You want that 8x. You want a nice sniping gun to try and pick off those fights early on, and it's still going to be useful until this next circle closes. But at this point, a lot of these players are going to be waiting patiently. They're in these buildings. They're going to be looking for close-range fights, as we see Nick J there going to be able to find a nice, quick, cheeky kill on a player who I'm not sure realized he was laying down right there.
Yeah, I actually love this spot by Nick J right now. You are silenced. You have the AK. It is very rare to see a player move up there in a final zone. Look at this jump by MLGB, trying to jump to the roof, and MLGB Scurry actually makes it to the ground, but Odin Thor putting on some crazy shots, and they will both go down. Dizzy from Elevate getting the final kill shot there. So MLGB is now eliminated. An insane jump. I like the move, but not paying off.
I admire it. I think it was great. It looked awesome on camera.
Exactly.
Not the best move to try and stay alive, though, when it comes through it. And that's one of the things, like, when you're on a motorcycle like that, you're going fast, you're like, what's the harm? Like, what could go wrong? And unfortunately, VZ and Odin Thor just waiting patiently. MJO going to be running through. I do not see Lush, though, which means he's been taken down, but just beautifully executed there. Going to be able to find that and still going to be safe as he runs forward. Although Nick J, like we've seen, is up in the sniper tower. And not a lot of players tend to check there. Not a lot of people like to go sit in that. So it might be possible for him to find some nice executes as people run in. As it stands right now, it looks like he's just going to kind of be keeping a bird's eye view. MJO, not quite sure where he wants to go just yet.
Yeah, only 18 players alive in the circle, once again favoring the city of Rozhawk. So we will have a lot of building to wall to building to wall type of play coming out of these players. A lot of AKs coming out, a lot of M4s. We'll see the scars and potentially maybe a shotgun here or there. So we will have very intense close quarters combat coming up. And that's unless Sevo can try and down these players as they head into the new zone.
Finding some nice shots, but not the last kill shot that he has needed. And it looks like he's going to be another player just kind of barely on the edge here, forced to come in. Him versus Katie Cakes, another 2v2 with a 1 right next to them, going to be forced to come through. And speaking of 1, we have a 1v1v1 kind of scenario over here. Nick J up on the hill, halfway hero running up the hill, and MJO just in the back line. Potentially going to be able to spot this out, but if he decides to play it safe, I don't see him taking shots until he knows he can get inside the circle.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the patience here by MJO. Being in such a dangerous position where you are so back far in the blue, he's being very patient. He's looking for any players that could be near him, making sure that when he goes for this run, he is as safe as he could possibly be. And a lot of these situations, when you are a solo by yourself this late in the game, even if you're going to die in blue, it's very important. Take shots, try and eliminate another player, because there's a lot of opportunities where you can give yourself a 5th or 4th place instead of that 6th or 7th.
And we've actually seen a lot of that in ladders, especially with the way the kills are counted. Honestly, if you do enough, you can change your placing. If you get 5th, but you have enough kills between you and your teammate, you're going to be able to push yourselves up to that 4th place spot. Just like you said, you're going to be able to find that next position as they go through, as MJO going to be able to clean up as he runs through. But unfortunately for him, VZ and Odin Thor are going to be looking towards him, and he's outside the blue. It's doing enough damage. He tries to find those shots like you said, but he's not going to be able to get the kills. And that's going to be 2 dead bodies right there next to the tree.
MJO, during that run from the warehouse to where he just died, gave himself 3 better placements by eliminating 3 solo players. I love the play out of him. He was in a horrible situation, a horrible spot, but he was able to make a lot of progress out of it. Geo taking some crazy AK shots, but is instead killed off by Draz. Some wild AK hollow shots there. VZ looking for more Kar98 shots. We have 3 players in this building, though. Blastic was actually in the bathroom this entire time. VZ and Odin Thor were in the building, and they didn't realize.
I can almost hear the shout that Odin Thor had to have when he opened that door. Because, you know, you fling it open, you see shots, just extremities of curses are going to be coming out of your mouth. He goes, managed to live through it, though, finds a kill, and they're just adding up their kill count. VZ and Odin Thor placing high just like they did in the qualifiers and finding the kills. These are players that they know they're good. They find the shots they need to, and even when they've taken a bad fight, they've managed to turn it around into their favor.
Absolutely. So we're down to 9 players remaining, actually 5 different squads here. VZ and Odin Thor now making their move into the safe zone. They're going to push up right to this other squad, though. We'll see what building they decide to choose. But in that one story, there are 2 players. VZ's taking a lot of shots and ends up going down. Now, Odin Thor still alive. He'll have to try and see if he can slip in. He is still not safe.
This is going to be the unfortunate position. VZ getting taken down there. You now have to recognize, I'm not going to get knocked down anymore. I need to find the shots, and I'm going to be fighting more than likely 1v2s. There are 8 players alive. Since we know Odin Thor's alone, we can see Dag actually over there on the right, the other solo player, and then 3 teams still alive, just kind of holding around where they are. And it sounds like Dag might have taken a shot, but like you said, it's still not safe. The circle's closing up, and Dag going to be one of the ones who has to move. He does have a shotgun, though, which is going to be a little bit more beneficial. Having to rush buildings at this rate, going to be able to go through. Odin Thor taken down, and now we only have 7 players left. A 2v2, v2, v1, and Dag just hoping that the circle is in his favor, and it looks like it landed just on top of him.
Yeah, so we do have Miniman and Arcticus Cageman. That was our military team in the very beginning. We have Elevate and Dizzy and Nop Nop as a squad. We have Puniji and Drass. And then our 1 solo player in Dag. So very intense as we have this urban combat. So many walls, so much cover. And Dizzy is a player right below him. It was Nop Nop. Okay. I didn't realize that was his teammate. I was like, where do you take your shots?
It looks like we see No Nop here kind of moving forward. Him and Dizzy going to be able to kind of hold this northern edge of the circle. I don't know if they realize that there are players to their west. But as it stands, we see Puniji here going to be getting aggressed on. I hear a grenade going to be just outside. You can see he heard the landing as well. A little bit scared about it. Going to be taking those shots, looking for the kill, but just not quite able to find it. Using a silenced UMP, though, to get that aggression down and use that full auto mode to his advantage. And with Dizzy and Nonop going to be aiming as well, that's going to be an immediate drop down onto the ground, prone, heal.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Namdam one of the only players in the safe zone. Arcticus Cageman getting knocked out by some crazy shots. So Miniman will have to choose whether to pick him up or move into the zone. He will not have time to pick him up, so he's going to have to move into the zone here. He will eat blue. This player will die as soon as he stands up.
Now with the grenades getting thrown down, that's going to be Cageman taken down. Miniman looking to rush forward. He's going to be taking those shots from the right-hand side. Puneji going to be able to pick up that kill, but falls immediately because he goes to try and revive his teammate. Now it's going to be a 1v2. Dag still in the circle as I see it. Just barely so. At this point, it's the last one. I think this is actually the furthest that we have gotten for PUBG League in terms of circles. Normally, this is going to be the end. You see someone die, but at this point, it's looking like these players are going to be forced. The circle does continue to close after this, and it's going to force them into close quarters combats as soon as possible. And Dag just going to hold that angle with the shotgun, hoping for the best in the 1v2 scenario.
Yeah, so just to explain how this works for everyone, this is the final circle, which means that after a 5-minute period, this circle will pick one spot that will be shown by a small star on the map, and it will close on that spot. It will kill any player. No player has time to get a first aid off unless you take damage before the circle begins to close. And whoever has that best position or can stay alive the longest will end up being the winner. So Dizzy and Nop Nop will have to make a decision here. They know Dag is in this building. He has nowhere else to be. They are going to have to either push in or wait and see if they can win with that final zone.
With the angle he's holding, he's actually going to be able to avoid Dizzy's gauge right here. And a lot of players, they don't normally make it this far. They aren't used to seeing this part of the circle. It looks like he's just going to be holding that door as much as possible. And I like this angle. He's not waiting for them to come up the stairs. He's waiting for them to come into the building. I think he recognizes he does have to make a play at some point. And Dizzy just trying to find out where could he be. He's checking all the downstairs rooms, so he's going to recognize soon he has to be living up the stairs in this building. Assuming he recognizes there's a second floor, he should be able to see the staircase, no problem. He finds the headshot, and that's all it's going to need. Dizzy, with a couple of shots, going to be able to confirm that for his team. And we don't get to see the circle close fully, but we do get to see a nice shot through the window for the win.
Absolutely. Dizzy and Nop Nop from Elevate with 9 kills overall. They put themselves in great position in the center of this zone. We're able to hold it off. But Dag, a great solo play. He was the only solo player with 4 other 2-man squads up and was able to make that play for second place. So very well done out of him, and an awesome game 1.
Yeah, being able to move up in the ranks as it stands. We can see on the right-hand side as you go through it, the other players where they were eliminated. A couple of names that we expected to see maybe make it up towards the top did not quite make it through there. And for those of you who may be wondering, the reason that first place spot, especially for the first place of the first week in the first game, is very important. That's 100 points plus their kills, all leading them to the prizes. So first place for this, after 5 weeks of play, we'll be getting 2 ViewSonic monitors coming through. It's going to be the XG2530. It's a 244 hertz monitor, and that one's going to be nice for them. Of course, second and third place do have prizes as well. Cooler Master Master Key Pro S keyboards are going to be going to the second place team after the 5 weeks are done, and we're going to be seeing some Cooler Master Master Mouse MM520 mice going to the third place team. So there's always gear to go for, and being able to play exactly like Dag did there is going to be able to get you some nice points coming into this one. But that was only game number 1. We still have 2 more that we're going to go through for the night. So we're going to take a quick break, go and set that one up, get the players ready, get going, and bring that one to you shortly.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee. day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it. Just let it happen. It could be a new shirt at the men's store, a cat nap in your office chair, or 2 cups of good, hot, black coffee. Like this.
A present. Like Christmas.
Oh, man, that is the spot. Nothing like a great cup of black coffee.
Hello and welcome to Dropzone 1, the first-person duos tournament brought to you by PUBG League and powered by ViewSonic and Cooler Master. We're in week 1 of actual ladder play. Points and kills matter, and this is game 2. I'm Heyday here with the Jabroni Bro, and we're about to kick things off here in PUBG.
Yeah, game 1. I was actually very surprised. I do not watch many duos events. This is actually probably one of my first, maybe it's only the second one I've ever watched. A lot of early action. We had a great zone in game 1 that let so many players move around the map the way that they pleased. Very wide open game. A lot of looting, a lot of mini 14s out getting used. So a really awesome game 1. I'm very excited for game 2.
Yeah, a lot of action early, as you mentioned. Also, a lot of heavy hitters in that game that made it to the end circle. A very exciting end circle that saw a few teams and a solo player there and fighting it out in a small compound. And very excited to see what happens here with this plane. As we all know, PUBG is a game of RNG from the loot all the way to the flight path that it takes. The flight path in the first game was straight up and down, and this one is going to be very different. And it's no surprise that we get a wild card flight path here with the northeast, the takeoff point, and the southwest as the end point. This is going to allow these players access to many places on the map that don't even get touched a lot of the times in PUBG.
Yeah, we see Toast Metal and Dido heading right to Kameshki. A couple players also heading to Stalber, which is not something we see. A couple squads over to Severny. No one making the long fly to Zarky. And you know what might take a hit here is Milta Power, and Novo, and the military base. A lot of really popular spots. So we'll have to see who opts for the vehicles, who opts for the long drive after they land, and exactly where this zone sends these players.
Yeah, with this 1/3 split on the map, you're going to see those players on the north side of things pick their spots early, but potentially you're seeing some players as they go past the school here still parachuting down, trying to get as far south as possible. And the thing with this is no guarantee that the circle's going to hit where these guys land. So some of these players willing to take that gamble and go as far south east as possible. And we might see some early action here. We do indeed. It's a hit and run grand theft, auto, and this is a player Pasha taken out there early on in the game, 96 alive.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Twite opting for that vehicle. That is a great vehicle spawn location just north of the apartments, a little northeast of school. There are a few vehicle spawns here, but look at Pyre and Awe as well. They're heading down very late, heading for the road. All of these players, because of this flight path, looking for vehicles, but look at this new safe zone. It's northwest completely. Zarky actually in play along with Georgiapol, Severny, and just maybe Razhak. I mean, that's almost it.
Yeah, this is almost a cartoon moment where these players are dashing to the southeast, and then all of a sudden that first circle hits, and you almost hear the screech of the players as some of them turn around and head back in the other direction. But a few players brave enough to outlast that first circle. It's not a dangerous circle, so they're willing to take the risk to go down there and loot up. You see MJYo here on the move through the woods and looking for some loot. And this is an opportunity now for players to loot some places that are outside of the circle, and that from time to time will give them an opportunity to pick up some sweet loot that other players aren't touching, that the safer players that are trying to go to the circle. But we talked about really early on that these players might shy away from some of these places down here in Milta and Milta Power and Litvaka there. But the players are going in, and they're going in hard looking for that sweet loot.
Yeah, Dizzy and Nop. This is Elevate. They are your winners of game 1 for tonight. Hopping in the UAZs. They're using those UAZs, and we have some incredible players that know how to use them as cover in the late game. They're heading down towards the Milta Power area, which is completely uncontested so far, unless Awe and Fire decide to move that way. Over in Georgiapol, we have a couple squads south down in the hospital area, just north of Gaka, and a few in Pachinki. So we do have a lot of open, spread out loot ready for the taking right now. And Lush actually very close to Amnesia.
Yeah, this is potentially a nice standoff here. Players, Lush being very cautious, making their way in. They probably do hear each other. You could see they're looking and peeking around, trying to get a beat on where each other is. This is a close quarters scenario unfolding in front of our eyes. But unlike the first game, This game so far is way more spread out. The first game allowed players to sort of sit in that central area from the plane to the first circle and beyond. But this one here is forcing players to think outside of the box, think outside of the normal drop spots potentially, or if your normal drop spot is outside of that circle, going for that Old Faithful and trying to loot up. Not so much action so far yet, as these players are just sort of linking up here. You can see Lush and MJ Yo there are pretty far from each other. And here's some action going down. Some shots from Delicat, and he knocks out Mio.
Yeah, MJ Yo from Rocket Esports. LTB Lush will have to make his break on the motorcycle to escape. MJ Yo's game will be over here. Very unfortunate, as he is only one of the first few players taken out in this game. So LTB Lush will start his solo career right here in this game against a giant game filled with duos. We do almost have a full game of duos. We started, I believe, with 96 or 98 players. So, so many players, such a populated zone. And look at this. Zomb in a box and Katie are pushing right to this warehouse. There are 2 players inside.
I love it. I love seeing early action. It definitely is the excitement of PUBG that I gravitate towards. As you mentioned, some players that finished very high up in the ladder, the leaderboard in the first game, go out early now. This is the beauty of PUBG and games like this, is that you can see switch ups, and the players that may be down in one game, they're never out. They always have an opportunity to get some points and get back in the game. See 70, not so much in as a hotspot as the rest of the middle of the map. This is a town I actually love to loot, and it's great to see players going here now. And some players already getting some action here in 70, trying to hold down this loot spot. Fortunate enough that they're close to the circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, looking in 70, God Dominus, Jursky, they are looted up pretty well. Bad Seed down. He has the SKS too, but look at this. Look at Enzo right now, trying to push forward, seeing if he can find God Dominus. They know where he is, looking for the pressure. Not sure if he's going to be able to do anything out of this. And the shots come out. God Dominus trying to make a break for it, taking a lot of hits, and he is killed off. So they are officially, Bad Seed and God Dominus, eliminated from this game.
And that really just goes to show in this high level play with some of these heavy hitters that are in the game, you really have to make that decision early on whether or not you're going to stick nice and tight together, as we see some more action here. Zavern there takes out Furios. And, back to that, though, do you stick together or do you split up and try to maximize on the loot? This is something we've talked about week in and week out. Those players up in 70 there that ended up paying the price, they were actually pretty far split up. The team that stuck together had the upper hand and took advantage of it. And it's rare to see 70s like just sitting so pretty in the circle from my perspective. And so as we see these players bunching up here in Rozhok, one of the hotbeds there in the middle of the map, you're going to see more and more players the further this game goes on. If that circle stays sort of in that general area, gravitating there and bunching up, and potentially more and more action building up, building momentum.
Yeah, it appears as though we could have a little friendly battle here, as both Arcticus players are on one squad and there's a third Arcticus player on the other. So taking shots at Miniman right now, and he will go down. I'm sure they now realize who they are fighting. As Miniman goes down, you are fighting your friends, and that is very upsetting. But it is now two Arcticus versus 1 in Rozhok.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a good story behind that. It may just be, maybe it's their 4-player squad, both entering the same duos tournament. Exciting times here in PUBG, as pretty much anything can happen. New teams are being formed. Old heavy hitters are coming out and playing, looking for those big prizes. And so far, so good. Hasn't disappointed. And we are here, as we mentioned before, in game 2, which means in game 1, from the qualifiers last week, we finally now have our first points on the board. And this starts to give you an idea of where these players might finish up. But as I mentioned before, it's still anybody's game here in game 2.
Yeah, we do have 5 weeks every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/tiermonster. There will be 3 games played, the same duos. And here we see G-Thang killing off Arcticus Cageman. So the Arcticus on Arcticus violence has finally occurred. And once again, nobody really opting to move into the zone very early. So many people, very patient, these players, very patient with their looting, taking their time. They understand this first circle does not hurt very much. And once you get into the Northwest, A lot of open land, not a lot of loot to be had.
Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. I really hope there's some heavy hitting tunes in that stream if he's streaming. The Prodigy here with his crew, Monty Python, we saw them last week as well in the qualifiers, of course, are making their way through the fields. If you're going to go through the fields, there's two ways to do it: slow and bush by bush, or tearing ass through in the dune buggy, and that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, sometimes you have to fly. Katie Cakes has been taken out of her vehicle. So Zomb in a box now alone, trying to make a way, but cannot get away. Zyphon with the vehicle explosion, and Katie Cakes and Zomb in a box are now eliminated. Very unfortunate for that squad. They performed fairly well in game number 1, but a rough game 2 as 81 remain alive.
81, and we are still on this first circle, 0.5 damage per second, and approximately 9 minutes now into the game, as you mentioned, Jabroni, 81 left alive. Still a lot of people to mix it up, a lot of people to fight for that top 10 spot where the real points start coming in. We did see some players last game get some pretty good points via kills, but I don't believe we saw anybody break that top or that 10 kills, which will give them that extra 5 bonus points that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I don't believe we saw any 10-kill squads in game number 1. We saw some players moving on the motorcycle-based Jeffy now taking some shots right on the vehicle right in front of him. Zaven is already down. He's trying to return fire, but the vehicle does blow up so Zaven and Based are now eliminated. Very good shots out of Tomshi. And it's actually, Based actually shot the tire and blew the vehicle up himself.
I love it.
That would count as a in-game suicide.
Yeah, that's a rough way to go. When you're shooting at a player and you get that explosion, whether you're actually the one that pulled the trigger or not, it's always an exciting moment in the game. We see Mick Spackle here making a move. These guys are all fairly safe at the moment, making their way into the safety of the white. And the C here, we've seen some phenomenal shooting from the C week in and week out. And he's sitting pretty right now. Looks like to be sizing some other players up, as we have the viewpoint in Nobsy and some other regulars that we've been chasing throughout.
Yeah, Nobsy in pretty good shape with that mini 14. Gino pushing up, trying to get some cover behind this tree so he could stay alive. Ryzen will go down, and now it's up to Harbinger as he tries to pull out his own mini 14 and get this 1v2. But he actually got help. Arcticus West actually killing off, or no, Gino actually killing off Ryzen, and then Arcticus West killing off Harbinger. So Harbinger will go down, and then Zyphon killing off Adanias with a headshot with the AK. So unfortunate for all those players on the hill.
All kinds of trades going on right there. We have a motorcycle coming by, the C trying to get the shots, and somehow these guys are managing to miss or dodge most of them on the motorcycle. Jabroni, we got some prizes for this tournament. These guys aren't just playing for points on the board and kills on the leaderboard. They're playing for first, second, and third place prizes. 2 ViewSonic gaming monitors. This is the XG2530 244 Hz gaming monitors. 2 Cooler Master Master Keys Pro S keyboards, and 2 Cooler Master Master Mouse MM520 mice. That's the first, second, and third place rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to play for, especially in duos. It's a very rare event that we're having here. So PJV killing off Deserted with the AK. And look at this zone. It goes even more to the west. So it's pretty much Georgia Pole, Zarky, and some hills for these players to play with. PJV trying to take some shots into the fields of Gatka, hiding in a bush just inside the blue, as this 2v2 could end up very bad for both of these squads, as they will have a nice little run ahead of them after they lose or win.
Yeah, I had a feeling after that very straight and very central plane path and circle we saw in game 1, that game 2 would throw something crazy at us. And so far it has, with the circles moving very far up in the northwest. Patrick here in the middle of the field trying to stay alive. I hate finding myself here, and I'm sure they do here as well, with the high-level play coming from these other players. They don't tend to miss a shot in these tournaments, which is phenomenal to watch, but not so great when you're on the business end of that gun.
Yeah, Pat just going for the crawl through the field. The smokes came out. I'll try and look to get away, but here's PJV moving into the field. He knows that he's prone somewhere. Not sure exactly where. A lot of bushes being played here, trying to hold his fence line, and he is now up and moving. PJV has spotted him out, so the shots will come out. And elsewhere, Shadox is actually shot from behind and is downed. Alien CS popping out of a window right here in Gatka was able to take down his teammates. Now PJV has to back off and try and work on this 1v2.
That's a tough situation to find yourself in, crawling your way slowly through the field to get to safety, only to be forced with this situation here where it looks like Thugwaffle and gang are going to push this. We may see a pretty extreme firefight here as these teams are pushing on top of each other. We're down to 66 alive. You see MLG, Biggie killed Young Modern, took him out. Alien CS finally killed Shadow and also killed PJV with the M16. We're down to 64 now, the second circle, and that one's going to start ticking up a little bit more, but still giving these players an opportunity to get into some safety. But the compounds right now are where it's at. The compounds is where the action's going down so far.
Yeah, I can't believe the popularity of Gaka right now. Is Pat with some great shots. And now it turns into a 1v1, Alien versus Pat. And Pat actually pulls it off. He pulls off the 1v2, and he is the final survivor of Gaka. Now, this is the same player that was just prone in the field looking for safety. Incredible place. He is one shot off of death, but he keeps the dream alive for his squad, and he will be able to move into the next zone.
I don't think there's anything in the game that feels like that except maybe a great chicken dinner clutch, but coming out of that alive with such little low health, with some very well placed shots. He didn't miss anything there. That's got to feel really great. Some action here on the roadside. Fire Official takes out Solenzo and Easy kills Jorky. We're down to 60 alive, and the circle now is going to start putting some pressure on these players that are outside there. Georgia Pole is the hot spot right now. This is the place to be.
Yeah, it looks as though this zone will most likely head over to north of Georgia Pole after it gets smaller. So a lot of players opting for the North George buildings. Now, once again, we talked about this in game one. If you want to set up in those buildings, it's great. It will keep you safe as long as you're in the safe zone. But when you try and move and there are tons of players in the building surrounding you, it is so dangerous. And most of the time, 90 to 100% of the players trying to run through blue will die in that situation.
Speaking of on the run, we've got Nop Nop here on a motorcycle. No fear, blasting past multiple teams, trying to get in that exact location you were just talking about. A couple players, Pat here, one of them, trying to make their way through that blue. It's 0.75 damage per second at this point in the second circle. So it's not really life-threatening just yet, but if you sit there long enough, you could definitely be victim to someone that's camping that circle side. And talk about this, man. We finally see a crate in action here in PUBG League, Dropzone 1, and it pays the price.
Yeah, Blastic actually had the AWM. He popped it out, but was immediately taken down. So Alod will now head over there and see if he can pick it up. But look at this. The Cannon posting up here sees the crate, sees the players, and is trying to keep them off. An AWM, very powerful weapon to have, will destroy you, especially a headshot. Nobody wants to take that hit. So they'll be in pretty good shape. But Kramer and Kaj actually also have potentially a view on it. Maybe a little too far, but nice for the C and Allo. They'll be in good shape. Now look at this. So much wide open field. So many buildings. It's all trees and hills up here north of Georgia Pole.
Yeah, this is going to allow for some intense action with little to no cover in spots for these players, as we've eliminated just about half of the field right now. And we're getting in to some close quarters action in the woods and the fields, with trees mainly the main source of cover there.
And here we go. The new zone is now set up. You have North Georgia Pole safe and north of North Georgia Pole safe. A little bit of water to play, but it is likely in this situation won't see many players opting into it, as it is as far north and south in the zone as possible.
And look at this, mountain climbers here. We've got a couple up top and a couple climbing up the side there. And every time I've seen high caliber players take a mountaintop like this, it's ugly for anyone that tries to contest them. Commit there and his crew on one side, but they're still in the blue, and they don't really want to camp this mountaintop for too long, as they do need to run, and they've got a lot of ground to cover. Not only do they have a lot of ground to cover, they've got to go across bridges or across water to get there.
Yeah, and here we see Nop Nop, the winner of last game, going down. Kala with the kill is one shot away from going down himself. MLGB Scurry right by him, but it appears as though they don't spot each other out.
That's a tough one. We've actually seen this a couple times in PUBG League, where players walk right past each other. Now that we're in first-person perspective, this is a potential possibility that you're going to see even more with that perspective, that field of view, and the sides. You really have to have your head on a swivel if you want to see these players. We do finally have some action there on the mountaintop. This may be too little too late for these players, as we see the team that was actually pushing up. They get the kills, and they get the advantage here as they head in towards that.
And they absolutely get the reward of a vehicle, because that run was going to be absolutely brutal on the north side of that mountain. So having that vehicle up there waiting for them, a very, very large gift that was up. And here we see VZ and Odin Thor, some great high quality players from last game, actually taking some shots. BenQ5 taking out the Car 98, and Riem actually knocking out VZ with the M4. So Odin Thor will have to try and get the pickup here behind this rock.
I love this scene, high caliber versus high caliber there in the open field with some long, well-placed shots there. And BenQ is going to move back. Room's there with him. They're going to get a little bit more into safety. They do know that they got the knockdown there, which is a very good feeling against this other high caliber team. And you could see as that kill counter comes up, or that knockout comes up, that you've taken out or potentially knocked down one of your adversaries, vying for that top 10 spot.
Yeah, and here we have a 2v2 heading right to the top of the hill at the exact same time. Shots are coming out like crazy. So many players low. And it is Nick J. No, it is Arcticus Wes, I believe. God, the Arcticuses are killing me. It's Nick J. I'm sorry. There's multiple Arcticuses, and it is very confusing when they get kills at the same time.
Nick J going up there in that 1v2 situation, taking them both down. Very nicely done. And we have officially cut the field in half here, the potential field even. Hook Bay is in the bay right now, trying to stay safe and make his way into the safe zone there. This is going to be a tough spot for these two teams here. As you can see, Easy and Fire Official sort of squaring up against each other, and here comes a car out of nowhere. It's Batman. Oh no,
yeah, that was a dangerous drive right there, as Batman is destroyed by a Groza as soon as he finds a very rough parking spot. Now this is actually very dangerous. A lot of players opting to go on the water side of this. If you drop down, there is a few spots to climb up, but it is not easy. So Axu down there actually gets downed. Shots are coming back at Fire Official, but he does have his Groza. He does have the high ground, so it'll be up to Hook Bay. But it's not easy to climb back up here. This seems like an okay area, so he might be able to creep up, taking some shots and putting down Awe right now is Hook Bay.
If he can't, though, he's got to make his way around to where he can, and that's slowly getting cut off by the blue here. As the circle, of course, in what has become a pretty crazy game for location of the circle, has now shifted back south again. So the players that were finding themselves relatively safe up north now have to make their way back towards Georgiapol. And we have some shots here coming from Juicy, taking down Dalleycat with the SKS, 45 left alive. Some nicely placed shots there.
I'm amazed today by the amount of mini 14s. It is crazy. This gun has just come out and has become the most popular gun to choose. Insane fire rate, insane damage, and the pure speed of these bullets coming out of this gun are absolutely insane. Almost no lead necessary in a lot of situations. You see a lot of players throwing the 4 times on it, throwing the 8 times, and just ripping shots as fast as they can.
Draven's teammate goes down there. He's going to take the time to get him up and stay safe. Juicy and Nick J on the move. They just want to get to the safety of the circle. And Georgiapol there, a ton of apartment stacks there where players are going to find some relative safety, at least for the time being. You can see some players are pretty hurt here as they come in. They've been fighting off the blue and fighting off other players. And this is where first-person perspective gets a little intense when you start getting into these multi-tiered buildings where you know there's at least someone in one of these buildings waiting around the corner with a shotgun trying to take you out.
Yeah, so many apartments, so many places to hide in North Georgiapol. It is not surprising that we have a large amount of squads opting to take this for their safe spot in this new zone. Now, hopefully for them, they do end up safe as the zone progressively gets smaller and smaller, but eventually they will have to move, and that is when they'll be forced into combat. But look north of that. There is nobody out in the field north of North Georgia right now, and it's a nice height advantage. And Hell Pander taking some shots right now at Buka's game, and he one shot from being downed, looking for shots through the door.
He is in there just dancing right now, trying to stay alive. You see him run in there and close the door as quickly as possible behind him. He is going to get the heal off, though. Hellpander does not get the kill. We do have a crate there, which could possibly be an action item for us to call out a little bit later on. But right now we're focused on these hay bales here in the field. And this is Monitorius, who finally takes Didn't Die Doe down and Toast Metal with the headshot on the Mini 14.
And then Tomshi as well with the Mini 14. So Monitorius racking up some kills here. Now look at this zone. It is so interesting to see the way these players are set up. Nick J taking some more shots. Juicy actually putting down Fitzy. But all these players in the South right now, the most ideal place to be is that northern part of this safe zone. There's so few squads up in the north.
Yeah, that's a rough way to go. And in typical and in almost beautiful orchestrated PUBG fashion, where we saw such a central game in the first game, this game has proven to be completely the opposite. The players that went south, it really spread this field out and allowed for so many players to be alive here in the end game, as we have 34 and the circle is small now. This is circle number 4. It's going to start to hit very hard, 1.5 damage per second. So the circle starts to come into play more and more, and these players don't have a lot of areas to hide, and they're just being forced on top of each other right now.
Yeah, QFT Zego right now moving, trying to get the flank on Riem and BenQ5. BenQ5 one shot being down, but QFT actually goes down with some great shots, and here's Sideline trying to make the play, but Riem is putting the shots out. And this 2v1 almost, BenQ was one shot off of being down, is turned into a 2v1 the other way, and Riem gets both kills and cleans it up. Now look at this new zone. Most of it is city. Most of it is North Georgia Pole. A lot of buildings in play once again.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And as you mentioned, nicely done by that duo up there to stay alive. They do have some ground to make up here, as everyone else down in the south is sitting pretty well. Some of those players even getting into some buildings and potentially getting completely geared up out of their minds. The players in the south, of course, are going to have a bit of the more of the time on their side as that circle presses in. But just then they fell back a little bit, waited for it to get pushed on by the other team, took them out, and ended up coming out of it alive. And they're going to come into the circle now where Monitorius is waiting for them, and he is on fire right now. I'd love to see how he takes this 1v2.
Oh, Riem absolutely ruined by the Mini 14 immediately. It'll be up to BenQ5 to try and get into the zone here, as Monitorius is just prone in a bush right now, putting shots, but he's taking shots. He has been spotted, and BenQ5 actually puts him down and is able to get the save onto Riem. The zone is moving in, so if Riem can get back into the safe zone, they are almost completely alone up in the north. He'll be able to get picked up.
This is huge right now. I couldn't understand why those two split up, and I still don't know why. He seemed to have left his teammate behind, but the fact that he turned around and got those shots on Monitorius there, it is now going for the res. Here comes Blue. This is going to be a close one, but they might get this off.
Oh, Riem just making it back into the zone. I'm surprised he didn't just let Riem walk into the new safe zone. Would have been a lot easier to worry about. Weedy now moving around in the buildings here in North George, and once again, the new zone will favor the buildings. We're going to have some apartment combat, and it is likely that we will get a final zone moving in.
Yeah, that was absolutely clutch there. And as you could see, not just apartment combat, but very close quarters apartment combat. And you could see Cast there. He actually gets a bead on Habba Baba over there, and he might take some shots, or he might try and stay safe. This is the decision you have to make at this point. Do you get the shots off and try to get that kill? Because you're in a duo situation here. This isn't solos anymore, right? So you might just get the knockdown, and then not only do you just get the knockdown, but you also give your position away. It's a tough decision for these players right now.
Yeah, Pat is absolutely going off. He won Gaka. He's moved into Georgia Pole, and he is still fragging out as a solo player. Absolutely out of control. He'll take more shots here over at X-Cart. But yes, that is something that's very important in this game, the risk reward. Are the shots you're taking worth the chance of your death? Are you confident in them? Are you confident in the fight? And do you think that it's the right choice? A lot of these players have to make that decision. And either you end up at the wrong end of it, where you are the one killed off, or you rack up those kills like our man Pat right now.
That's a great quote. Pat won Gatka. He sure did tonight. And he's not done yet. We might see some more out of him. But you could see he's now playing it a bit cautious. He knows players are around, and those players are hurting. And this is an opportunity for him to get another kill. The C here in that banana suit that Gore loves so much, he's trying to come around, but he's actually going to get hit as well.
Yep, and look at Pat. He's so sneaky. Oh, but running right into Hellpander, and the C is actually taken out with the UMP. A lot of UMPs in play here. A little surprise. Geo looking for some shots on Hellpander, but he's actually standing in blue. He's going to die from blue. No, he gets in just barely, and then is immediately killed off by Smithy, actually killing off Hellpander and Geo there. So getting all the final shots.
Yeah, Smithy, our league winner, and also racking up some of the highest kill counts that we saw in PUBG League in the first go-around. And he's definitely something to watch for. And right now he's starting to warm up. And you can see that as Room there is down the sights of one Kaj here. And this is going to be tough for those players that are outside. They need to safely make their way. And you can see Room and BenQ there are dealing with some tough situations as BenQ is down.
Yeah, dude, Pat is going off a silenced UMP, and he is putting players down left and right now. He only has 21 shots left. He hasn't reloaded. So I don't know if that's because he's ran out of ammo from killing off so many players, or if he's just holding on and just saying, let's not pop the reload yet. We can take down another player with these 21 shots. We don't want to die during the reload phase. Or maybe even trying to not make any noise, as this is first person and making noise is priority. 11 players left, now quickly becoming 9 as Riem and BenQ5 both being killed off by Cash. Cash has been holding down this apartment for a really long time. Smithy looking for Pat, cannot seem to spot him out though.
That's going to be tough because right now Pat has the advantage. Smithy has the blue to his back. He's going to make his way through there and just take a tick of damage. But Pat is just dominating right now with that UMP and taking out anything in his way. He is actually going to make a move here, get a little bit more advantageous spot. He knows someone is up there. And right now, two heavy hitters sizing each other up at the moment. He does give himself away. Smithy gets some shots off, and Pat's going to get behind cover before he goes down.
Yeah, Pat only one shot away from going down, and he will be an instant death. We are down to 6 as Xiphon gets 2 kills, and then MLGB Biggie dying outside the play zone. Pat's still alive here. Will try and med up. He is actually one of the only 2 players on the west side. The other 4 all on the east in these 2 apartments.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for some of these players who have found themselves in relative safety. Pat finally goes down from Smithy, as you can see there. But that relative safety can turn into immediate and uncontestable death if you find yourself in one of these corners with the blue cutting off your only escape.
Absolutely, and it is down to 5. It is a 2v2v1. Smithy being the solo. Cash and Kramer from KFC, and then Xiphon and H Wright, each holding down an apartment. All 5 players need to move to get into this new zone.
Yeah, they are right now not moving yet, as 10 seconds before the blue comes in. The crate is out of the picture right now. And all these players care about is getting into that safety while watching their back against the potential other players here. This is the tough part with first person, is you don't have as much visibility as you do in third person. And so you do have to be very careful, maybe move a little bit more cautious right now. You can see these guys opt to take the back door, which took them through the blue a little bit, but it does get them into a position where they feel safer coming out here and sizing up their opponents.
Yeah, I actually love that play. As we see Xiphon trying to run through. He has to run through the open field, and Smithy putting him down immediately, but very quickly H-Right responding to Smithy and killing him, and then Smithy killing off Xiphon, Kramer killing off H-Right, and that's it. Cash and Kramer, by taking that back door and going around, pulling this game off with 4 kills. They did not leave that apartment for almost the entire game.
Yeah, that was well played. And again, that comes down to that decision you have to make. Which way do we go out? Where do we go? We heard some shots here. We heard some shots there. We heard some shots over here and saw the kill counter kick up. Where are these guys? You know, just trying to get as much information as you can. And as we said, they go out the back door. They do take a little bit of tick damage, but it does pay off in the end. 2 kills apiece. And as we go down, we do see some nice looking kills from some of these players. Xiphon with 7, Smithy with 7, and Pat with 6. And his teammate had 0 kills. Doesn't mean he wasn't there for, you know, a lot of the game, but potentially Pat was on his own for that entire time and did very well to finish in 4th place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seeing the 10 kills out of Xiphon and H-Right, absolutely insane. So that will be my last game for the night. This is Dropzone 1. It is a duo first-person tournament. All these players qualified last Friday, and over the next 5 weeks, we'll play 3 games every Friday night. There's one more game here tonight, and I'm very excited for game 3. But we are going to go get that lobby set up, get ready to go, and then we'll be back in just about 5 to 10 minutes with game number 3.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to game number 3, the final game of the night here for Drop Zone 1. This is, as you've heard many times tonight, our first-person duos tournament, and as you just saw a nice commercial, you will recognize that we are powered not only by ViewSonic, but also by Cooler Master for some nice prizes that these teams are competing for. So this is a ladder. This is week number 1. So with the way that it is running right now, these teams are looking for the kind of early lead to go into this game. But before we get too far into it, I will introduce myself as Gormizer, and joining me on the desk this time will not be Jabroni Bro, but will be Heyday.
Hey, what's up, guys? And welcome to Game 3. As Gorgeous mentioned, there are points at stake here, and very valuable points. As he said, the players and the teams here are trying to get the jump on the rest of the competition and go into the next week with the upper hand. So as they're playing here, and we saw in the qualifiers, game 1 was intense, game 2 was a little bit less so, and game 3 was just the rest of the teams trying to get in to this ladder. Right now, these teams are playing for points every single game, so every single game counts. And sure enough, we have another interesting flight path here in game 3.
And as we've already seen a couple times tonight, these teams can in fact make it very far. Even if your teammate gets eliminated early on, you can try to push as far as you can to get some of those nice points to live on in the top 10 and get some of the better points than you would get if you ended up in the top 20, top 25, etc., etc. And we've also seen that, honestly, when it comes down to it, I expect this will be the way that it is after the ladder gets posted. There are going to be some that when you calculate just the points they got from their positioning, they're going to be a little bit higher up because kills do count. Kills do matter. In fact, they matter so much to the point where I believe if you get 10, you get an extra 5 added on, an extra 5 points to that. So you get 15 points for 10 kills. Kind of a nice incentive to continue fighting. And a lot of these players may or may not recognize that going into it. They should know that, assuming that they've read their rules coming into this, but knowing that they can kind of expect that fighting to make a big difference in their placement, it kind of encourages these players to get a little bit bloodthirsty.
Yes, absolutely. You want to go for the kills, stack up those points. You could see, and we saw it through league play, consistency is key. As we look at some of the players in Pochinki now down by the apartments, over by the school. This is an interesting split from this flight path. A lot of players going more to the north, but you could see all in a straight line there, very packed in that straight line across the northeast, while a few players are scattering and going very, very south. And here comes the circle again. It's going to be another west side circle, which will favor these players that have opted to jump earlier in the plane.
So for a second there, we were following Dag as we saw his teammate Sevo, unfortunately for Dag, was run over. Dag was one of the players who managed to make it to number 2 in that first match. And it was something kind of similar. Sevo, unfortunately, got taken down a little bit earlier than him. And as we see now, he's going to have to kind of repeat that, although it's a little bit more of a rough spot to be in, because there's still 91 other players alive that he is going to have to make it through. As now we kind of hover around Pochinki, you can see there are 3 teams in the city. And this has been kind of notified. It was once called a very bad neighborhood on the Reddit. And honestly, it's probably one of the deadliest cities in the game because it's so centralized. It's so well placed in the map. You can get good loot from it. And pretty much any circle you're going to be able to make it to no matter what. It's a little bit less centralized than School or Rozhok, but you're still kind of able to get there and you're going to be guaranteed some good loot, but you have to fight for it.
Yeah, right now, a lot of players well outside the circle and might be seeing some fights for them to make their way in. And some teams very split up at the moment. You can see these teams here in Rozhok, though, staying nice and tight together, opting to watch each other's back as they go for the loot. They may roll up on each other here in a moment as we're spectating Daniel there. And we see Draven and Fitzy, Daniel and Dobie across the way in Rozhok.
As you can see, some of these players are going to be a little bit east side here. They're going to be stuck in a position where they have to go forward. And speaking of being stuck right now, Ox going to be coming through, looking for the shots, trying to find the kill, going to be able to get the knockout, avenge his teammate, it looks like. And now he's going to be on the hunt for the one player that he needs to find. He knows that was a knockout. It looks like there's a team, and we see Blasty over there on the left-hand side, still kind of near the crates, going to be looting up. This is a good spot for them to be in, at least in terms of being able to kind of get away from each other and being able to stay alive. But Didn't Dido, Toast Metal, those two are a relatively deadly combo. So depending on where we see Blasty and Ox go through, that's going to kind of determine their lives at this point. But it looks like they're going to be running kind of more south on the island, look for a vehicle, and might as well just go ahead, drive over for the circle. There's a buggy right here, just kind of laid out perfectly for Blasty. So I see things going very well for him as long as he can get away. But he does have some teams, depending on where he goes, he has to worry about either the bridge or the military base.
Yeah, Toasted Metal and his team over there are some heavy hitters, and he might have to go through them. It's going to be quite the gauntlet for him to make his way back through. Back in Pochinki here, we have Prodigy and Monty Python finally back together. And we mentioned this a few times, that teams are either going to split up a bit and try to make the most of the loot that's available to them, or they're going to stick together. And so far, we've seen the teams that stick together. It pays off for them because in this first-person perspective, they're able to watch each other's back. We've got some action here as Disimoto is moving on another team, 86 alive, and a few going down early here in this game.
The shelter being one of these spots over here that it used to be, again, it was really popping. A lot of players loved coming here. Good loot, and it's almost guaranteed. But you end up in a position where you are underground. You can get stuck. The tight corridors kind of lean more towards having shotgun play. And Disimoto's checking around for players. He's kind of keeping the peek. I really like the way he's looking at this because he's keeping an eye over the edge of the ledge just because he recognizes there could still be people down there. They don't have to be inside the shelter. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to spot him. No, he does find him, finds some of the shots immediately, but is not going to be able to get one of the knockouts. And his teammate is a little bit further away. You can see them running over. He does find the one knockout, looking for the last hits here onto Tom. All he needs to do is really find one. He's going to be able to clean that one up. A nice 1v2, silenced UMP right over the hill. And while they were looting one player, he now has 3 crates to go through. With Hellpander coming up, he looks like they should both be looted out here by the end of it.
That was nicely done. He's working with iron sights there, not even a red dot to his name, and takes both of the players down. And Monotorius we saw late in last game and playing very well, and they go down early. And this is why we play. You go from one game to the next, and it's a completely different outcome, and the leaderboards get shaken up time and time again. So really excited to see the progress through these first games as we head into the next week, how these players went from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, how they fared, and where they end up after the week. We do see Dobby here potentially in some action, looking down iron sights as well. He's going to take 1 down and 2 down. A nice double kill for Dobby.
Yeah, him and Daniel kind of coming through. It looked like they were going to have a little bit of trouble. Ryzen 4K was about to open that door, but Dobby took a couple of footsteps inside the building, and it immediately gave away the fact that someone was there. Ryzen, trying to play it a little safe, was kind of waiting to hope and bait that one out. But unfortunately, his footsteps were just as audible, and so we get to see that one come through, and Dobby and his teammate going to be able to make it around. It looks like Kaj going to be stuck in an interesting position. We have what looks like Githang here and his other Arcticus buddy coming in and looking to try and take down this building. Looks like Wes and Githang, but both of them actually going to be leaving that building alone. And Kramer going to be making his way over there because I'm sure at this point Kaj has been calling out there are people nearby. Find a little bit better positioning, come into it, and be ready to fight.
Yeah, I mean they're the ones doing the playing and doing the talking here, and it's easy to sort of judge this from the perspective that we have with the amazing visibility we have from the camera. But in my opinion, I absolutely advise against this split that they're doing here. It so much of a lack of view and perspective. When you're rolling with first-person perspective, you don't have that player to watch your back. I think it's just very dangerous. Now, if you have the confidence, on the other hand, to roll through by yourself, that's a different story, and maybe that's what these guys are rolling with tonight.
As we can see, though, the circle is going to begin its closing pattern here. A lot of players still needing to find their way back into the safe zone. As we see up here, Mayo, I believe. I saw someone in chat kind of getting onto us about pronouncing this. I think we said it about 3 different ways in that first game, but looking like he's alone. Lush, the player he has been teaming with, nowhere to be found. Either they landed in separate places or he is kind of stuck around here, and we got to get to see the map, and it looks like we are completely devoid of a teammate for him. Lush, one of the players that did very, very well in our solo ladders, up there with Smithy, one of the names that we almost always mention, eliminated very early on.
Yeah, it goes out, and that's the shakeup that I love to see. And with these ladders and with the play, it's just so very different than a single tournament because you get to see the progression of games. You get to see if people have that consistency or not, and consistency has been key. Smithy didn't place first place every time in league play, but he placed consistently enough to take that first place at the end. And you can see a lot of players in the safe zone right now. It looks like Deserted rolling up, and Pat, who just ran the map last game, is crawling and trying to stay alive here. But it looks like he may go out early. Hard to tell.
And this is one of those few complexes, actually. We don't get to see this one as often as Cageman going to be dropping down the shots, and they're going to be able to find it. There's going to be Deserted. Pat going to get eliminated finally there. by Nick J. So actually not Cageman or Minimint going to be finding that one. They're going to be, I guess, a little bit hurt because they don't get the point for it, but we're going to be seeing, it looks like Headshot are going to be encountering a couple players, motorcycles driving around, and surprisingly enough, no one taking shots. This is one of those times where, honestly, that's kind of an almost easy, clean pickup. If you can get the right shots onto it, you should be able to take it down. Taking some shots now at Scurry in the buggy, but that last back seat should be able to take those for him. And ultimately, we're going to see the MLGB squad go ahead and make it on past over into Gatka.
Yeah, what I love about the system and the kill point does potentially encourage these players to play a little more wily than they might usually and take some of those shots and go for the kills. We see some action here, and this is up on the hillside, the other ruins, if you will, and the radio tower here coming into play. We don't necessarily see this a lot, but Meow, as I also heard it or saw it spelled, is making their way along there now. So I'm not sure what to call this player anymore, but they have been doing consistently well throughout this league play.
As we can see, some of these players getting caught up. The ruins, one of the main attractions we actually got to see a little bit earlier, but we didn't see any players go for the engagement here, and we're going to be seeing Flitzy over here on the church. And it seems like he has spotted some players. He did get some shots down, or at least he knows where his partner died over there as he's trying to get as much as he can on this. But BenQ5, one of the players that Jabroni Bro has mentioned, we mentioned him a lot last week as well. Very deadly. Just as a player entirely, can find those shots. Very, very good aim. As we can see some good aim right here, not coming out from Monty Python. He is going to get down, not finding the headshot he needed. And Prodigy looking to try and make his way up. But honestly, this is one of the hardest buildings to try and make your way into, just because the vision from the stairs is going to be a little bit stronger here for Buka's Gaming.
Yeah, your boy Potato Soup gets the kill. Prodigy on the hunt now on the prowl players here in Pachinki, as Pachinki is still in the safe zone. This is the beauty of the circle pushing into these highly dense areas, is that it is going to force the players into some of these fights. And we do see some players still, even outside of the blue zone, making their way in right now. In the middle of the map, though, some players rolling up on each other. And this is where, Gore, you wanted to see them take those shots, those potentially easy shots, headshots on those vehicles.
It's one of those things, I feel, a personal opinion, but when it comes down to it, when you're driving a vehicle, you know where the driver's seat is. You know exactly where to aim for that head, depending on how much ammo you have. Because some people, maybe you end up with 60 shots. Other people, maybe you have 250 plus, and you're carrying way too much for your own good. Your backpack's super full. You're wondering why you can't carry this extra painkiller. Take the shots. It's always going to be worth it. If you miss, you lose a little bit of ammo, but if you get it, you get a nice kill. And honestly, in a vehicle like that, if they get knocked out and they get hit by the vehicle, you're going to get a kill almost immediately. As we switch back over here, it looks like Goric having his teammate get taken down, and now trying to figure out where exactly he is going to be going as Minimint and his teammate on a bike. Again, I think we mentioned this earlier. One of the deadliest vehicles in the game, but also the fastest.
And if you can get that kill, not only do you open up some of your inventory space, do you get the kill points, but you also get a vehicle delivered to you, which, as we have seen, is not just good for getting from point A to point B and dashing into the safe zone, but also for some cover. We've seen some high skill use of vehicles as cover, as PJ here is taking some shots on BenQ. These players starting to find themselves pinched in these spots here between multiple teams, and they also finding themselves with some players that have some great marksmanship here. You see Room and BenQ5 are doing work, and these guys are deadly.
And kind of rushing around the skirt of the ruins. This is one of the things that we got to hear a little bit earlier, where it's just like, it's difficult to know where a player is going to go and kind of predict their movement through the ruins, just because of the way that the entire thing is shaped. There's a lot of paths they can take, a lot of corners they can wait behind, as we actually see Felicity kind of up in that vantage point, up in the church. And that's going to be more than likely good for him, as Odenthor's on the ground. VZ almost getting annihilated by that grenade, looking to try and revive his teammate as fast as possible, trying to keep him alive. He has 10 seconds on the clock. He has to do this now. It looks like Odenthor might end up going down as they wait for the kill. H. Wright going to be able to get that one through the bleed out. That grenade was well placed. Now he's looking to get aggressive onto VZ through the building. The window is going to be good. VZ looking for the shots, going to switch to the SMG. Coming around, he's going to be able to try and take out one, but it's not going to be enough. Xiphon going to be able to get him with that AKM, no problem. Him and H. Wright going to take out one of the deadliest duos that we have seen so far.
Yeah, that's a great push, knowing that you have the upper hand. We're able to get that knock down and that player is potentially not up yet, and getting in there, getting aggressive, and finishing that team off, taking them out. And that's a win for everyone on that leaderboard who's found themselves lower than that team there. You could see somebody being rezzed over here, and it looks like Smithy getting his teammate up, and hopefully they can get a heal off if they want to stay in this one and stay on the hunt of PJ there. PJ with some nice shots all throughout the night tonight.
He's looking to try and make up for the fact that it seems like he's now without a teammate. Come in, get some more points. Again, the kills are going to add up. It's one of the things that, a lot of people, when you look at it, it's just one kill. It's just 1 point. What does that matter when you're getting, 100 or 50 or so? They add up. If you place, get 50 points, let's say, and you get 10 kills each time, you're going to be able to overcome someone who got first and sixth and et cetera, et cetera. The points do matter here, but that's going to be up to the players to try and find them, as it looks like we're going to see Puneji here come through and find exactly the shots he needs to get Amnesia Hayes down with that M16. Some free loot for him. He's going to be able to come up. Dross is a little bit lagging behind him, but both still in the safe zone. The circle closing, and they're just kind of patiently waiting for the next one.
Yeah, that was a very nice lean into that one. Players are opting for the high ground. Minnie and his teammate are on the mountainside, and they've got, it looks like, 2 bikes going past them. Toast Metal and Didn't Die Though, one of the deadliest combos in this game right now, are going to come up on them now, and this is going to be a good fight here on the mountaintop. Yeah, Minnie goes down. Toasted Metal is low, but Articus here is going to have to try and get him up. He actually opts for the action and is going to retreat now and get his teammate up. Minnie is going to get up. Toasted Metal, though, and Didn't Die, though. It looks like they're going to try and push this and take the advantage.
For that aggression, just kind of like you said, actually staying relatively low where they are. Cageman going to get shot out, and now they're going to be going through. Toast Metal looking for the kill, but Cageman just isn't able to do anything about it. They're going to actually get knocked down here. Toast Metal taken down, and Didn't Die though unfortunately does die, and now Cageman going to be able to come out on top with 2 kills. Going to have to heal up a little bit, but is now king of the hill on that mountain. And with the way things are going, Smithy actually looks like he might be in an unfortunate position up there, as BenQ5 and Room looking to rush down the church, possibly running into Fitzy.
Sorry about those tech difficulties on my end, guys. Fitzy up there in the bell tower looking to get his sniper on. And this is one of those places I think every player dreams of finding themselves in, especially with a silencer on the end of their rifle, looking to take down anyone around. It doesn't look like he's looking for targets, though, just waiting his time out there up in top of the ruins and trying to be safe towards the end of the game. BenQ and Rune making their way through the ruins as well. And a lot of teams coming into this area now, pushing in, and you see more motorcycles in play, almost an endo there as this player's Ivan's coming in as well. And this is where it's going to get dangerous for some of those players. He's going to go down to some quick shots from Smithy and his teammate to Cannon.
And there you see a prime example. Take the shots. It's going to be worthwhile. You get a motorcycle and you get a kill with it. And all the loot just delivered right into your lap, as it sounds like G-Thang going to be finding some shots, going to be able to get 2 kills right there. Zigo and Sideline Killer taking off. Him and Wes going to be dominating in these 3 buildings. Going to be safe here, and with a crate slightly to the north, potentially able to look for that if they want to go in for it. But as it stands right now, this one looks to be coming down. The players noticed it. I saw NoNop. I mean, hunting crates, that's one of the things we've always kind of looked at. It does have a nice sniper waiting in there for any player who wants to go for it. And it's in a very prime location to be grabbed up. But it depends on who notices it.
Yeah, a lot of players in bad shape right now, just trying to get in the circle. And as we're here cheering for some players, at least I am, to go for that crate, these players are just trying to get in a safe place right now and get to where they can get healed up, reload their weapons, and get an idea of where any enemies are around them. Looks like Cask here does have some of his enemies in view and is trying to take some shots, some nice shots up onto the hillside there. It's Baman. Is going to take some shots and has to retreat to heal.
This is one of those areas where the hills, again, really do pay well to the players kind of hiding in it. Batman is one of the ones they have kind of been hovering around this area, using it very efficiently. And he does have the 4X on the Car 98, going to get a nice headshot right there immediately as he sees him. Not going to be able to find the downed body, looking for the teammate, trying to find the flash, trying to hear where the shots are coming from, but it's just not looking well for him. Dace, though, had a bead on him this time with a mini 14, trying to get that, what players have kind of dubbed the laser, to come through and be able to find the kills, but they are not looking like they're going to be able to get it just yet. As BenQ5 over here, still kind of hovering around on the edge of the ruins. It's safe, so there's no reason to leave, and this is still one of the two players that were very deadly during the qualifiers, and at this point a lot of people are going to be running pretty much right into their lap.
Yeah, that was definitely a laser shot there. That place they are on the edge of the ruins, I love that place. You can watch your back and you have view over a massive area where you can take some nice sniper shots from. Commit and his team, James Boy, making their way into the circle now, and you can see a lot of players riding that blue wave in, trying to get to safety right now. Potato Soup out there, Head Shotterer is outside as well with his teammate, and right now they are just on the run, trying to get into safety, and we have some action here already.
Jorski looking for the best place to try and revive his teammate so that he doesn't get headshotted. And that's one of the things a lot of these players, they have to take into consideration. And a lot of people don't think about that immediately, but you not only want the player's body to be safe. Of course, they're down. Any more shots they take, that's going to reduce the time alive they have left. But they don't think about the fact that it forces you to crouch there, stand still. Your head is going to be going there, as we actually see one get knocked down right there. Coming into the circle is probably one of the most dangerous places you can be. And as you can see, Buka's Gaming looking to try and run a little bit further away from where he hears these gunshots in the ruins and around this sunken city, trying to go in. And with the circle kind of ending towards the north, they need to keep running. A couple players going to be grabbing their vehicles, but the ruins are probably going to start popping off here as the teams are going to be colliding. Players have to run through.
Yeah, this has done no favor to those players that were in the ruins area in the south there. There's only a few players, a handful of players that are actually in the safe zone right now as the time starts ticking for that next blue circle to move. There is a crate in there, so potentially a nice little pickup from some players. But everyone else is forced to move now. Some of those players, you saw Fitzy up there in the bell tower with the sniper rifle and the silencer. He's been sitting up there chilling this entire time. He's going to be forced to move as well. And now we may see some action as these players that are on the run have players behind them, players in front of them. This is the game of chicken that starts now. Who moves first, who runs, and who gets caught from behind.
H. Wright, one of the players responsible for taking out what I call the deadliest duo, or one of the deadliest duos at least, as he's running past Fitzy here in just a second under the church. May or may not get taken down, depends on how Fitzy wants to play this one. He's trying to keep it safe. He's trying to keep himself alive. And as it stands right now, he's just trying to get that high placement, but also going to be running towards some of these other players like BenQ5 and his teammate as well, although they have already started making their way across the water. The circle is closing. So a lot of these players need to get going as fast as possible. Fitzy and H-Right both kind of just chilling in the church for right now. Might end up taking some damage just because they're taking this one very slow.
I feel like Fitzy might have gone for a lunch break, but nope. There he goes. He starts to move. H-Right hears him, looking for him now. The blue is pushing in. And as you could see, some of the more deadlier teams, as Fitzy goes down, he waited that whole time, and they get taken down immediately by H-Right. Some of the more deadlier teams, they're moving in on that circle immediately and trying to get into a safe spot, as some of the other teams are beginning to move in now, and they are just getting picked apart from behind.
A headshotter right there was able to jump into the water very safely, but unfortunately for him, he was still in the blue, so it ends up getting the kill there as Smithy, one of the players kind of watching the edge of the circle. A couple others also just watching for those players coming in. Dalicat taking some fire, looking to try and find his attackers, looking for the kill, looking for whatever you can get out of this, and we have BL4 here just kind of patiently waiting for him to peak. Dalicat going to find some of those return shots, actually very well placed onto BL4, but it's not going to be enough to find the kill. First aid will come through. These two players kind of hovering around, but Dalicat got taken down from the other side.
Yeah, this circle is crazy. It's one of the few times you see one of the sort of end circles, late game circles, and nobody's inside it when it hits. Everyone's on the edge of the blue, and they're trying to get inside. Everyone's getting picked apart, getting hit from behind, from in front. And right now, it's just utter chaos. We have 26 alive, and we are on circle number 5. So the damage is ticking. You can see Bukas gets taken down here as well. And Fire Official, he kills God Dominus, Bad Seed, and Poonage there as well. And then Bukas gets taken down by Idan.
Now dropping the player count now down to 22. One of the things that you can learn from this match and from what you have seen is you need to still play the circle. It does a lot more damage than some people are really willing to, I guess, recognize and admit sometimes. And even if you have the heals, even if you have the means of transportation, taking a little bit too much, if you get caught out, one person has to find a shot, and that will screw up the schedule for you getting back in. So really, when it comes down to it, you need to learn how to play that circle and how to take these engagements. As Cageman jumping out of the window, going to be coming down, looking for the kill. They hear the other players that can come through. Easy. Looking for some of those shots, trying to find whatever he can, but Minimint just being a little bit stronger, going to be able to find him through the window. Now looking for the teammate, going to be able to find him. No problem. We're going to see Minimint and Cageman manage to live to see another day.
That was absolute chaos there. I couldn't even tell who was on whose team. I thought Minuteman was actually going to be taken down from the back, but it actually is his teammate who seems to be able to get up. Here's Jamesy Boy coming into the circle as well. Players are all on top of each other, all trying to survive and get into that circle. The blue is moving. Jamesy Boy gets taken out. Kala dies outside the play zone, and H. Wright still alive, playing very well. You mentioned he took down some heavy hitters and continuing to take down some of the rest of the field.
H-Right going to be able to knock down Cageman, now going to be looking for the final kills, but he is going to be taking some shots from behind. Habababa going to be firing towards him as well. Going to be able to find H-Right now. 10 left alive outside of the zone. Still is Habababa now outside of his own body as he has been taken down. Legendary looking to be driving on in or running on in here. Going to be taking some shots here. Him and Idan going to still be alive, but looking like they're going to go down. We see Cageman get taken down, bleeding out. Dag still alive. Mayo's still alive outside the circle. I think looking to heal, continue running. We're going to see Nonop, Dag, Minimint, Dace, Legendary, and Idan. It looks like 2 teams left alive, 4 solo players still running strong. Mayo looking for whatever he can, using a lot of heals and running right into the lap of a team.
Yeah, right into the lap of the team here. He's actually going to go down and heal some more. That was back a little bit there. That was a triple pinch. That was a pinch from in front, a pinch from behind, and a pinch by the blue. There's not a lot of ways you're going to get out of that, and unfortunately, that player went down. Mayo actually gets taken down by Dag. We're down to 7 left. There's a full team there of Legendary and Idan, and they look to be safely in the white circle there. As you can see, up on the north side, another team of Nop Nop and Dizzy is actually flanking their way around.
Dag, unfortunately, though, turning his sights away from up there, might not catch anyone. I think he caught a glimpse of them earlier before they started moving. Doesn't know where they are, though, now. Minimint going to be able to take out Dace alive now. Some shots coming down from Dag. 6 players left alive right now. The M24 on Minimint is going to be a very deadly combo as it comes through. But Dizzy LT and his teammate here looking for the kill. The circle is closing, though, and they might end up taking a little bit of damage for this. Minimint actually going to get taken down on the bottom side here. Idan and Legendary going to be finding that. Dag, again, kind of pinched between 2 teams now. He is the one man standing in a 2v2v1, and he's going to be looking for these shots anyway, looking for the down, going to be able to find it onto Dizzy. He's low health, going to look to heal up instead of try and confirm the kill or kill his teammate. But giving away his position, and now Legendary and Idan actually pretty close to the circle, and with no real worries, no one's pressuring them with fire, so they're able to move around no problem.
Yes, that's a very interesting choice from Dag as he goes for the heal instead of taking the kill. It's a tough decision that he had to make on the fly. He's all by himself, so he's only one that can make that decision. He does finally go down from Nop Nop. We have a 2v1 here, it looks like. He was actually able to get the kill, if I'm not mistaken. 3 left alive. Idan and Legendary versus Nop Nop here, and they're going to get the win. It's 3 kills for Idan, 1 kill for Legendary. Nop Nop and Dizzy taken down, a total of 6 kills between them, and a very exciting end to Game 3.
Arguably, some of the most important kills coming out for Idan and Legendary there happened all pretty much right at the end. The same thing kind of went through. We saw Minimint and Cageman doing a lot for their team, but when it came down to it at the very end, they weren't able to make it all the way through. Cageman taken down, and Minimint was able to get a couple kills after that and did go solo up to number 4. But as it stands, they are going to be there at number 4. Those kills, though, will matter as they do add points onto this. And that's one of the things to mention. Since this is a ladder, and since this is 5 weeks long, and they're going to be 3 games every week, for those who can't, don't want to think about it, it's going to be 15 games. It's a lot of games to play through, and that is a lot to kind of handle. So you get 3 games each week to not only place as high as you can, but also to pick up those kills. Because even, let's say this week, you're right now, let's look at Nop Nop and Dizzy. You just take this game, 6 kills. You do that in every single game for those 3 weeks. The points start to add up, and they can issue you something going forward. So it's one of those things. It's going to be interesting to see how the players handle it. Tonight, we've seen some mixed, honestly. We've seen some aggression teams who have gone through, gotten a ton of kills and placed high, and we've seen some other teams that we've seen make it to the top with virtually no kills. I'm looking right here. Days Live has 2 kills. Batman has 0, but they're still kind of able to push up. Or with Lush, with his unfortunate demise early on in this game, taken down and lefting Mayo to kind of make it through himself. But that was it for this game, but not it for the event. Dropzone still going to be going on, still going to be on next week at the same time on Friday, right here on twitch.tv/tiermonster. They're still going to be competing for those awesome prizes from ViewSonic and Cooler Master. And for those who might not know, it is going to be 2 nice 244 hertz monitors coming out from ViewSonic. You're going to have keyboards and mice coming down from Cooler Master. The keyboards for the number 2 team and the mice for the number 3 team. And those nice XG 2530 monitors are going to be for whoever can clutch out number 1. And now the teams are left with 4 weeks to do so. So with that, we're going to actually have to close this one down. That's our 3rd game and final game for the night. And so we'll take a week off here and then see you all next week in the Battlegrounds. Don't forget to leave a follow here. And of course, you can follow myself or Heyday on Twitter. I am at Goremizer and Heyday is at Heyday TV. You can follow our production guys. I know on camera tonight, we had someone a little different, but it's going to be Skyline. If you've seen some other PUBG stuff, he has been doing that. And of course, we had our normal Unovi. Don't forget to follow the Jabroni Bro as well. He was here earlier, did the first 2 games for you guys. And of course, give some love to not only the Pub League or the PUBG League on Twitter, as well as the admins, Lord WizKid and Opon. Of course, again, stay here, stay tuned. And next week, we will be back in the Battlegrounds for more violence.